Casey Hendrickson from the Mid-States Construction Studio. Mid-States Construction, one of the nation's leading authorized builders of new core building systems. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Is it time that we raise the speed limits everywhere? 574-25-95-95.3. Now, I want you to think about this now. Is it time that we raise the speed limits? Now, there has been, obviously, a very public campaign for a long period of time in the United States that, speed kills. Of course, we all know that speed doesn't kill. It's the sudden stop that gets you. Jeremy Clarkson. That's a direct quote. We all know that. We also know that the Autobahn is one of the safer roads in the world. And, of course, there are sections of the Autobahn, not the entire thing, sections of the Autobahn where there isn't a speed limit. There are sections where there is a speed limit. Yes, when you get into a crash, it is horrifyingly devastating in many circumstances when you're driving at those speeds. However, you're less likely to get into a crash, kind of like an airplane. Okay? Air travel is the safest mode of travel, but when one goes down, it's not going to be pleasant, right? We all understand that. We all accept that risk. So is it time that we change the speed limit? And this is quite interesting, actually. And this kind of involves Michigan State Police just a little bit. I ran into an article at Quartz Media. Now, that's QZ.com, okay? And I don't surf over there a lot, but occasionally it ends up happening. And so Quartz Media, they published this article, which is Steve Marcus and Alex Mayasi, okay, who contributed to this. Now, this was published in Reuters as well as the Las Vegas Sun. When Lieutenant Gary Meggie of the Michigan State Police attends a meeting, he sometimes asks, how many of you broke the speed limit on your way here? Now, I got news for you. 100% of the population breaks the speed limit. Now, the question is, do we do it excessively? We also break the speed limit by going under the speed limit, which is, in most places now in the United States, an equal offense. Hearing his question, you might assume that Lieutenant Meggie is a particularly zealous police officer, the type of person who walks half a city block to avoid jaywalking on an empty street. The model citizen who defers most obnoxiously to the letter of the law. But that is not the point of Lieutenant Meggie's question at all. Quote, we all speed, yet months and months usually pass between us seeing a crash, said Lieutenant Meggie. That's what he was telling everybody as he was called to discuss speed limits. That tells me that most of us are adequate, safe, reasonable drivers. Speeding and traffic safety have a small correlation. Over the past 12 years, Lieutenant Meggie has increased the speed limit on nearly 400 of Michigan's roadways. Each time, he or one of his officers hears from community groups who complain that people already drive too fast. But, as Meggie and his colleagues explain, their intent is not to reduce congestion. Bow to the reality that everyone drives too fast or even strike a balance between safety concerns and drivers' desire to arrive at their destination faster. Quite the opposite. Lieutenant Meggie advocates for raising speed limits because he believes it makes roads safer. 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. I want to get your opinion on this. Is it time to raise the speed limits everywhere? And here's the thing. I have done this topic, joking aside with the sudden stop they get you, okay? Joking aside. I've done this topic for 12 years or so. I thought about this topic long before that as I was a professional driver. He is not the first person to point this out. He's not the first person to point out that it isn't the speed limit. I have gone back through the entire history where we started getting these weird speed limit numbers and things like that. And they come from some odd thinking, ladies and gentlemen. But in general, I just wanted to ask you, 574-2595, 95.3, is it time to raise the speed limits? Are they too slow in the United States? Zach, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
How you doing, sir?
Doing well. What's on your mind?
Just because you mentioned the Autobahn, I actually lived in Germany for 5 years as a military brat.
Yes, you probably know a lot more about it than I do.
You can't get your license in Germany until you're 18 years old, and their version of driver's ed is very rigorous in comparison to what we do.
Now, what I also understand that if you get a DUI, like you're toast, that's it. You can't drive. You're done.
Their limit is also lower than ours by 0.03%, I believe.
Yeah.
It's illegal to have a breakdown on the Autobahn. You will get ticketed for that as well.
Well, yeah, it's
you can't
dangerous.
get your license until you're 18, and they do night driving, driving in the rain. From what I understand, there was a large amount of money my parents weren't willing to pay for me to get mine over there.
Okay.
So it's just, I'm all for raising the speed limit, but
it's got to come with some additional parameters.
Indeed.
Aha. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, buddy. Appreciate the call. Thank you much. Take care.
Sir.
You too. Now, we talked about Germans' driving rules and restrictions when we talk about alcohol and whether or not the drinking age should be lowered. And we've mentioned that before. But again, look, I wrote a column many years ago. Are we breaking more laws? Or are we breaking more laws or writing more laws? And it became one of those, paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact title of it. But the idea was, if the United States of America really wanted to get rid of speeding, they could. They can govern every car at 75 to 85 miles per hour. No car could go faster than that. There'd never be a speeding ticket again, at least not an excessive speeding ticket. There would be speeding tickets in school zones and residential areas and things like that. But in large part, you're not going to have excessive, horrendous, unmanageable speeds with unskilled drivers, right? But of course, this is America, and we have freedom and all of that, and there's no possible way you're going to take away people's ability to drive fast. And governments and politicians want it that way. Now, law enforcement, by and large, doesn't want it that way because they have to see the mess. They're the ones that have to notify family. They're the ones that have to clean up accidents. They're the ones that have to respond to these accidents. So, they're different. I'm not talking about law enforcement, but politicians and governments want people to speed. Politicians and governments want people to break the law. Why? They make money that way. Why do you think we have red light cameras? We have red light cameras not because things are dangerous. We have red light cameras because they want to make money, which is why so many municipalities actually shorten the yellow light time to go ahead and get more people running red lights with an excessively short yellow light. There's a reason that they do this. So if we were really concerned about fixing traffic issues, we wouldn't even be talking about speed limits. We're talking about governing cars. Throw a little governor on there and boom, car can't go faster than 85 miles an hour, right? They don't have to worry about it anymore. But of course, that's not what's happening. So, but there's, it's interesting that a Michigan State police officer has been, incrementally raising nearly 400 of Michigan's roadways, raising those speed limits over the past 12 years. Every time he gets people with the backlash on, oh, how dare you do that? People already drive too fast, and a lot of people do. But do they drive too fast, or do they drive too fast for the conditions? And are they reckless? You drive too fast in a straight line, and for the most part, you're okay. You start weaving in and out of traffic, you got problems. In fact, just almost saw somebody get nailed real bad today because they decided to go ahead and do a U-turn in the middle of the road. They let one car go, didn't let the second car go, and they flipped around. Second car almost slammed right into them on Ironwood on the way into work. So it's but he's not the first person to say this. This is the latest example of this. There have been a lot of city engineers that have said pretty much the same thing. 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. James, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Doing well.
About the speed limit, talking about over in Germany and all that. My son was stationed over there, and he said that you can't You can't have any kind of drink in the car. You know, there are no cup holders in the cars that are sold over there.
Right.
You can't, go to drive up with food, and get something to eat because you can't eat while you're driving. You can't do anything while you're driving. There's way too many people here that drive with their phone in their hands, drink and eat and carry on, and then you got the other people that don't know how to go the speed limit.
Sure.
Like I drive 20 miles to work every day, and guaranteed every morning I'm going to get up on somebody doing about 35, 40 miles an hour on the main highway.
Mm-hmm.
And just I really agree with another higher speed limit, but there's so many other things that need.
And they have such a different driving culture over there, and a lot of those German manufacturers, they don't make cars with cup holders and things like that. Not necessarily because you can't have them. In some places, you probably can't, but also because they believe that you're supposed to be driving. And it's a cultural thing that you're going to enjoy driving because they enjoy it.
Yep.
So, in the United States, a lot of people don't, which is why we have some really horribly ugly cars that don't perform well that sell very well. That's
right. But I'm all for a higher speed limit because I ride a motorcycle and I never drive speed limit.
Well, I mean, you burp and you're over the speed limit on a motorcycle. I mean, that's not fair to you. Yeah,
exactly.
All right, buddy. Appreciate the call.
Well, anyway,
all right, take care.
Yep, thank you.
Now, I've been advocating for an Autobahn in the United States, and I've been advocating for this for a number of years. I believe the old Route 66 should be turned into an Autobahn because there's the new Route 66 that's right alongside it. So the old one is just sitting there rotting. As far as I'm concerned, go through, fix that thing, make it into an Autobahn. Boom. You have your option. You can either go in the speed limited version of it, or you can go to the Autobahn version of it. Since so many people already take their performance cars on Route 66 for these tours anyway, I think it would be an awesome idea. But in general, is raising the speed limit across the United States a positive or a negative? This Michigan State Trooper believes that it's positive, and he's been doing it for 12 years in nearly 400 roads in Michigan, and he hasn't had any negative negative findings as a result of doing that. 574-2595, 95.3. We'll take more of your phone calls on this coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Asking the most important question in your life this week: should we raise the speed limit in the United States? And I'm talking about all speed limits, with the exception of school zones, I guess. But there could be an argument made there because, let's be honest, some kids aren't worthy. Let's see. Somebody said you were wrong. Truck driver says that. It has been time for far too long, in my opinion. It's not how fast you drive safe. It's how safe you drive fast. I think that's John Deere. I think old John Deere sent me a text message, Tim.
It sticks in your head. It's a good saying.
You know what? It really is a good saying. And
they got the jingle going in that commercial.
And my goal in life is to get a riding mower. I can't afford one right now. My goal in life is to get a riding mower.
Okay, but you're not going to buy a John Deere, are you?
I can't afford a cheap one from China. What am I going to do with a John Deere?
All right.
I mean, I want one.
No, just don't. I'm saying don't buy a John Deere. Get yourself a nice zero turn.
I don't really care as long as I can sit on it and mow my lawn.
No, I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's worth it. Whatever money you put aside for it, go for the zero turn.
Casey Hendrickson's looking for riding mower sponsorships here at 95.3 MNC. So if
zero turn,
zero turn would really help with my trees, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
oh no,
that's a fair
fantastic.
Point.
No,
and I can chase the neighbor's dog.
Anytime the lawn needs mowed, I will volunteer. If it's on a zero turn.
I keep telling my wife, if I had a riding mower, I would mow the lawn 3 times a week, like my 85-year-old neighbor. She's like, he's always mowing the lawn. I'm like, but look how amazing his lawn looks.
Right, always.
And he has this nice riding mower. He's out there having a blast. That's what I would do. Anyway, Casey Anderson, seriously, looking for riding mower endorsements right here on 95.3 MNC. That's a very true thing. Anyway, 574-25-95-3. Please give me a riding mower so I can endorse you. I literally saw a guy holding a plate of fried chicken with taters and greens driving in front of Notre Dame today. He only ran 2 stop signs before I peeled off. Well, he might have been one of those Jesus will protect me drivers. Those drivers, faith is on their side. All right, back to the phone lines we go. 574-2595-95-3. That is 2595-953. Jeff, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Casey.
Hi there.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I agree that the speed limit should be lifted.
Do you have a number in mind, or do you just want to get rid of it altogether and let it be a free-for-all?
Oh, I'm thinking like county roads, back roads, you know what I'm saying, up to 55, and then, like highways, interstates, a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
Especially interstates. Interstates should be like 75, 80. And, the regular highways, they should be at least 60 to 65. Man, I'm a project manager for a good construction company around our area, and I'm all over the state, up, down, south, north, and I'm constantly getting brake checked by people that, are tending to drive the speed limit all the time. And in my line of work, I have to be at point A and point B at certain time of the day. I have set schedules.
Yep.
And, a lot of people just think that I'm trying to be some jerk because I'm tailgating him, but I'm not actually tailgating. I'm looking for a place to pass safely. You know what I'm saying?
So you're just getting like right up on their bumper, but looking for a safe place to pass around them.
No, I stay back, car length.
Oh, okay.
Car and a half, you know what I'm saying? But around here where I'm from, people are just plain jerks when you come right down to it.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, Jeff, I appreciate it, bud. Thank you much.
Yeah.
All right, take care. So Jeff says, yes, absolutely. It's time to raise the speed limit. Now, let me just read this and we'll head back to the phone lines because I want to add from this article here. The nationally recognized method for setting the speed limit is the 85th percentile speed, okay? Now, basically what this means in traffic engineering is that the goal is to get like 15% of the people to drive over the speed limit and 85 to drive at or below the speed limit, okay? That's the goal. So you want to set your speed limit in a place where most of the people are going to be at, maybe slightly below it, but only a few people will be slightly above it, okay? So when you set it at, 55 miles an hour, 15% will drive above that, 85% will drive at it or below it, okay? And that's the goal. Now, what ended up happening here is that the lieutenant in the Michigan State Police, Meggie, I guess is his name, he said almost every time the 85th percentile speed doesn't change, or if it does, it's by about 2 or 3 miles per hour. So he says, over the years, I've done many follow-up studies after we raise or lower the speed limit, and it doesn't change. Most honest drivers would probably concede this means that if the speed limit on a highway decreases from 65 to 55, most drivers will not drive 55 miles an hour. So if you're driving and you're on 65 and then all of a sudden it dips down to 55, you just keep going at 65. You don't really slow down. Most drivers are that way, okay? The majority of drivers, the opposite is also true. If a survey team increases the speed limit by 10 miles per hour, the speed of traffic will not shoot up by 10 miles per hour. It will stay around the same. So if you're driving at 65 and it goes to 75, you'll tend to stay right around 65. If it drops to 55, you'll still tend to stay around 65. In other words, what they have found in the research is that you drive whatever the heck speed you want to drive, and really the signs don't mean anything. Tim, does that sound... Now, does that...
accurate.
It's a very long way of arriving to a conclusion that I think most of us are well aware of, right? People will just drive whatever speed that they want to drive. Now, I have often told you how freeing and liberating it is to be in Michiana because the police here really don't bother themselves with writing tickets because they don't seem to have this quota system like they do where I'm from. where I'm from, I mean, you're 3 miles over the speed limit, and they're on you. Now, you go to court, you get it thrown out, waste everybody's time, waste a bunch of money, because the court says that's not speeding. So here, I think I've only heard of people getting speeding tickets a couple of times, and honestly, they were speeding excessively. So it just isn't one of those things that we tend to run into quite a lot. Anyway, I mean, obviously it depends on the area you're in. Some of you are yelling at me right now. I just got a speeding. I know. I'm just saying in my experience since I've been here. Anyway, Jerry, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Casey.
What's up?
Talk to you. Well, I drove a truck for about 8 years, and tell you what, the biggest issue with this is the difference between trucks and cars, how they limit the trucks and reduce the speed of the trucks.
Yeah.
But Ohio used to be notorious for that, keeping trucks at 55 and then letting the cars go 65 or 70, and then they started bringing the trucks up a little bit. Now, the Ohio Turnpike, they just a few years ago, they brought everybody up to 70 miles an hour.
Okay.
And when they did that, they had the fewest accidents and fatalities on the toll road since they opened the toll road.
You mean to tell me that when vehicles are all going right about the same speed, they don't tend to have a problem with some going faster and slower than other ones and then colliding with one another?
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. It's just kind of weird,
Shock.
I know, but yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of absolutely crazy, but yes.
I am just shocked that people going the same speed tend to maneuver in and out of traffic at an easier pace than if everybody's going at a different speed. Yeah,
I think the speed limit needs to go up to a little bit more reasonable amount. So
all right.
put me in that book.
I appreciate that, Jerry. Thank you very much. All right, we've got time for just one more, and then we'll move on. Jim, we get the final word here.
I don't think it's a speed limit problem. I think it's a uniformity problem.
Okay.
Whereas everybody needs to drive the same speed.
Now, you just want, so let's say if we have, instead of having a 55 to a 65, or you think that instead of having individual drivers driving whatever speed that they want, which, of course, the research seems to suggest most human beings do, is that what you're talking about? Our actual speed or the speed limits need to be more consistent throughout the roads?
No, the accuracy of the driver, because
Gotcha.
If I was to pull up on a stop sign and the speed limit's 45, I kind of expect everybody to be close to the 45. If somebody's doing 60 and I pull out in front of them, then naturally there's going to be an issue.
Sure. And then people going underneath it, too.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
so the thing is not necessarily the speed, but enforcing them to go the same speed, everybody to go the same speed.
So how would you fix that? Do we have these safety features right now where they have the cars and the lasers and whatnot, and the car will slow you down and automatically apply the brakes if you're going to get too close to somebody? Should we have the opposite, where if you're too far away, it'll accelerate?
Well, it does that. I've driven those cars.
We have those cars where they will actually accelerate for you? Well, I mean, yeah, keeping you a certain distance from the car in front of you, but I want one that automatically detects the flow of traffic and says, all right, you're a dink, you're not driving 35 and a 55, we're going to make sure you drive 60.
I mean, it does that. It's like an adaptive cruise control that'll keep you in the flow of traffic.
It will do the flow of traffic, though?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, all right, so I didn't know that it did that. I knew that it kept you safe from the car in front of you, but...
And I got one more thing for you about the lawn tractor.
Yeah.
Husqvarna just come out with one of those that mows the grass by itself, like the Roomba for vacuuming your carpet.
Yeah, I've seen these things over the past several years, and there have been some smaller companies that have had them out there. I don't know how good they are or how accurate they are. I am not opposed to it.
Husqvarna's
that's a good company.
It's a good company, and their cheapest model of the self-propelled lawn tractor is less than a John Deere.
I might have to take a look at that because the wife might actually let me splurge for that. Who knows? I keep asking for a goat. She won't get me the goat, though.
Well,
every time it's fair season, I'm
asking for a goat, too, and I won't get her one either.
Every time it's fair season, I'm like, I'm coming back with a goat this year. She's like, don't you dare. All right, bud, I appreciate it. Thank you much.
All right, thanks.
Take care. I want some goat's milk and I want my lawn trimmed. That's all I care about. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.